Now, when I first saw a picture of you, I was like, is he a real person or is he an AI person? What is the secret to your amazing skin?
I always say this, the way you look can reflect what you have been consuming.
Yeah.
I just think it's a lifestyle that I chose.
Do people find it shocking when they learn that you're Muslim and also vegan?
Definitely, it's a stereotype that we have to change. I always say to people, if you're able to do it yourself,
Yes.
then come talk to me. That 90% of the people are not even able to hold a knife and do it themselves. Veganism is something that made me more compassionate. If compassionate means more feminine to people, so let it be.
Tofu is like one of the best ingredients in the world.
It's the best. It's the best. I've been eating it like for breakfast, lunch, and dinner these days.
Yeah.
Different ways.
Don't have breasts? Wow.
Well, see.
The amount of people that message me saying, oh, if I have tofu as a man, then...
It's absolutely not. And I've built muscles on it. I'm training every day. I've managed to actually gain almost 8 kg of pure muscles.
Wow. Do you think it's detrimental for business to refer to their products as being vegan?
It was an experiment that we have done actually in one of my restaurants. We have opened a restaurant that is fully vegan and we've announced that it's 100% vegan and we were big on the vegan word. Then we've done another business that we've never mentioned the word vegan and we've said, hey, we only have food that is delicious. Come and try it. The place that didn't say it's vegan, we've had the most.
Ghanim, welcome to Kindness with Amy. I'm so glad to have you with me today. I was really excited to meet you because I've been fascinated by your journey. You were an engineer, now a serial entrepreneur, founder and CEO of NBAT Holdings, who only invest in plant-based businesses. Fascinated by this because I'm very exposed to the plant-based world in India, and there's a lot of interest in investing in plant-based businesses. So I want to understand, where did this journey for you begin and why are you only investing in plant-based businesses?
Well, I'm so happy to meet you, and we've been connecting through social media in the past few weeks, and I am so as well admired by the work that you have been doing, I guess, from on the plant-based kind of world, by sharing information, raising awareness, and changing people's lives day by day. For my journey, I started this, let's say, transition almost 10 years ago, actually to be exact, 10 and a half years ago, with a book that came across me watching TV at some point, and I realized that I needed to go and grab the book because it was talking about a lot about how the food can change the way we look, food can change the way we perceive, where our food is coming from, and I realized that I needed to go and understand more about our food journey and how food ending up in our plates. And I've realized that there's so much that we are, not really aware of, and I started experimenting on my body, and I realized that I wanted to make some changes and introduce more vegetables and fruits and nuts and seeds into my diet. And the intention in the beginning wasn't to go vegan, but the intention for me was to be more healthier, feel lighter, feel more energetic. I've realized with time that my body started reacting very positively, and I became very much in tune with my body, and I've started listening to my digestion, and I think this kind of process of awareness was very profound, had a big, profound feeling to make the switch. And I realized that I had to make different decisions in my life that have led me to become vegan. And but I would always say this, that yes, I started from a health point of view to go vegan, but I've realized as well with time that there is so much more into veganism that is beyond the health aspect. So I became very passionate about the animal welfare and how we can understand that actually food have a huge link with the suffering of so many creatures, and I realized that I'm part of that, and I wanted to not only make a switch on my lifestyle but also help other people to make the switch. I've realized as well the impact on the environment and how making certain changes with what you put and what you choose for your plate can have on carbon, and how that can affect our air and our environment. And so I think this kind of holistic approach to veganism with the three purposes, planet, animal, health, it clicked something in my mind and made me realize, you know what, I'm making this change not only for me, but also for the world and, the other people.
Okay, so you've been vegan for 10 years.
Yes.
Now, when I first saw a picture of you, okay, I was like, is he a real person or is he an AI person? Because his skin, what is the secret to your amazing skin? I think everyone will want to know. That is the number one question.
Well, first of all, thank you so much. I mean, I'm very flattered to hear this. And I always say this to people when they ask me, how can you get, better when it comes to your health? And people think, the way you look sometimes can reflect what you have been consuming. And I do believe in that connection. I believe sometimes the more cleaner you eat, the better your body reacts to it, and the more it can reflect that kind of, let's say, lifestyle that you've been following. So, I eat very clean, but I also very careful on what I put in my body. But that's a choice that I made because I wanted to feel good and I wanted to feel my best.
Yeah.
And I think with eating lots of vegetables, lots of, amazing, potent superfoods, it does have benefits at the end of the day. I try to research a lot about, ancient medicinal herbs and how these medicinal herbs can actually heal the body from inside. And so I consume lots of, turmeric and lots of aloe vera and berries and antioxidants. And I think that has a huge impact on my skin, but also on the clarity of my mind and my energy on a day-to-day basis. And I find this something that a lot of people see it as an impossible kind of decision, where I would say if you just try to clean your diet, even if they're not vegan, I would always say that any choices that are more cleaner is definitely better for your body.
Better than nothing.
Of course, you're allowing your body to heal itself. So I don't know. I think that's the reason. But I drink lots of water. I make sure that I sleep well, and so I do a lot of things. So I don't think there is one secret to it.
Yeah.
I just think it's a lifestyle that I chose, and one of the benefits of that kind of lifestyle choice is that you get a nice skin.
Absolutely.
Too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, what do you see as being the narrative that needs to be in place for veganism to be adopted on a mass scale, on a mainstream scale? Because we often hear, so many false stereotypes and negative connotations with veganism and plant-based options. So in order for mass adoption, because I really think that that's key when it comes to businesses being able to really have a massive impact, they need to appeal to a mainstream audience, right? So what do vegan businesses need to do to appeal to a mainstream audience?
Well, I think we live in a world where everything had been commercialized, that it's so hard for us to introduce anything that is authentic and anything that is true to its main cause without kind of covering it in, commercialized material that will allow it to be, a product that is not as approachable to people who are looking for clean, healthy food. And I think this is the issue that we are facing nowadays with restaurants and businesses, is that, the word vegan is amazing and can sell your product, but we're missing a lot on what ingredients are we putting into our food.
Yeah.
Are we actually treating the source where we got the food from properly? Are we paying our farmers well? Are we making sure that the life cycle of how the food ends up on your plate is ethical? Is it sustainable? Did anyone get hurt along the way? I think all of these aspects is very important. So for me, when we talk about the restaurants and how we can reach out to the masses, I think us consumers, we need to kind of change our mentality a little bit and change our standards of what we're looking for. I feel like we have been I think as people, we've been demanding things that are not realistic.
Mm.
We're demanding flavors that are not, I would say, the healthiest that are out there. I think we have changed our taste buds, that we're now always trying to get to a product that is not that attainable. So I always like to look at it from the other way around, rather than us, the restaurants, trying to create products to get the masses. I think us, the people, the masses, we have to change our way of kind of, shopping for our food, and the way we choose things on the aisles, and the way when we go to grocery stores, how do we want to shop, and how do we want to identify what is good for us and what's not good for us. From a restaurant point of view, I think the restaurants are now allowing a lot of, there's a lot of healthy options there, but they don't last on the menu. Even in vegan restaurants, the junk food, even if it's vegan, that's what usually lasts, because that's what people are looking for. They're looking for the burgers, the pizzas, the ice creams and the chocolates, and which are fantastic and amazing. And I'm happy that some of my restaurants have that. I do believe that we need to start educating this society and the community more to choose better options, and to prefer the raw food, or to prefer greens than processed, meat alternatives, which I eat them sometimes, but I like to always kind of do it from the other way around. And because veganism can reach everybody, but is veganism the answer? Yes, if we're talking from an ethical point of view, from a sustainability point of view. But when we talk about the health aspect, you can make everybody vegan, but then still not as healthy as possible. So I think, how can we combine the three aspects? A lot of people want me to choose one, and I think this is a debate that is constantly out there. It's like people saying you do vegan food for the animals, which of course 100% I believe that. There's no doubt in that. But how can we win in different areas at once? Let's do it for the animals, but let's do it as well for the planet, and let's do it for our health. And that's the reason why I do what I do in my businesses and in my restaurants, trying to educate my community, trying to raise awareness as much as I can, to make people actually come in to the restaurant with these three purposes.
I think that's right about giving yes, from a consumer perspective, perhaps it also comes down to government education, perhaps that it comes down to a different conversation altogether. From a business's point of view, though, like businesses that exist now, do you think it's detrimental for a business to refer to their products as being vegan?
I mean, 5 years ago, I would say yes. Today, I think there is a huge movement toward what people call it plant-forward, or plant-based, or plant food. They're trying to create a different terminology to reach a wider audience, trying to show people that, veganism might be, for some people, kind of an aggressive word, which I don't know why, but some people feel like, veganism is a bit too much, so I don't want to use that, and can we call it plant-based? Can we call it plant food? And I always say to people, choose whatever you want, as long as it is actually food that is cruelty-free, and food that is full of nutrients, and food that is real and authentic and pure and honest. And that's, I think, what businesses need to do. I feel like businesses need to have the flexibility to choose. But I've seen so many restaurants doing it very successfully by not mentioning the vegan word at all. One of my restaurants actually didn't mention the vegan word, and we were very successful.
But it was vegan anyway?
It was vegan anyway, but we've never mentioned it.
See, I think that's a really important point, because something that we've noted in India, with Indian companies specifically, India is a very religiously vegetarian country. So when you come in and you start saying vegan, 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 it comes across very, number one, Western, number two, like jarring for people. And even if the product is already vegetarian and suitable for that audience, a vegetarian will not opt for it because it says vegan. So the moment you take away that word, it's amazing the psychological impact it has on people. So that is really interesting that you've had vegan products in your restaurant and not referred to it as vegan. I think that's a testament to consumer behavior and how language is so important.
It was an experiment that we have done actually in one of my restaurants, that we have opened a restaurant that is fully vegan, and we've announced that it's 100% vegan, and we were big on the vegan word.
Right.
And it did amazing, and it did very well, but it didn't cater to, let's say, the local community.
Yeah.
then we've done another business that we've never mentioned the word vegan, and we've said, hey, we only have food that is delicious, come and try it. And what we have realized is that the place that didn't say it's vegan, we've had the most local customers that comes to it, comparing to the place that it says vegan, had the least local but more of the expats. And we realized that, oh wait, that just shows you, as you said, the power of the words and sometimes the perception and the the stereotypes of veganism, which again, there's nothing negative in vegan, and I love the word vegan, and I still call myself a vegan because I think I stand for all the values of what veganism
I don't.
are.
When people ask me, I don't say.
Oh, really?
No.
I think in Doha, I made sure that because I remember in the beginning it was a bit difficult to explain to people.
Yeah.
But I think people realize that it's actually a choice that has no, I would say, side effects on the surroundings that we're living in. A lot of people think vegan people are a bit more aggressive, or maybe they just want to kind of prove their point all the time. And I try to show the complete opposite, that I can be vegan, but we can still have a nice conversation, and we can, not agree at the end of the day, and still be friends and hang out. And I wanted to have that kind of, approach, so I can allow veganism to not only thrive in Qatar, but also for people to accept it in a way that is, friendly for people to adapt as well. And I think that's why a lot of people have accepted the veganism, let's say, movement in Qatar, and it became very peaceful.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about spirituality. I speak with a lot of religious leaders and people who are in pursuit of spirituality in different sectors, from Hinduism to Islam to everything. Is it fair to assume that you're an Arab Muslim?
Yes.
Okay. Most of Qataris are Muslim, correct?
Yes, it's a Muslim country. Yes.
Mostly, yes. Okay.
Yes.
Right. Do people find it shocking when they learn that you're Muslim and also vegan?
Definitely. I think a lot of people kind of assume that you can't be vegan if you are following a certain religion, and it's not about Islam only, but any religion.
Any, absolutely.
And I do believe that this is a conversation that we have to constantly maybe talk about it, because it's a stereotype that we have to change. That again, we're not here saying that, do not eat the animals, or this is, some people call it like haram in Islam, or it's like a taboo, or it's something that they think that what we're doing is trying to say, don't eat the animals. And I think what we're trying to do is that, at least from my side, when I'm trying to advocate for it, saying, hey, there's an alternative to a lot of the issues that we're seeing nowadays with how we're treating the animals, how we are, abusing the other creatures, and how we're abusing our own bodies as well, and the planet. So I'm trying to do the conversation to reach more audience in this region that way. However, from my kind of experience as someone who lived here, who grew up here, a lot of people kind of as well in the beginning were very much not, I would say, understanding to why I made the choice to go vegan. And they had the debate of, are you eating meat and, during events and during Eid, and what about, the Udhiyah and Eid al-Adha, which is like the Eid of sacrifice? Do you participate? And I think all of these questions are, again, very valid, but at the same time can be debated. And you can always find an alternative way to express your spiritual dedication through less suffering.
Absolutely.
And I totally believe in that.
Yeah.
And I believe that it doesn't have to go hand in hand. And I think you always can come up with a new version of a way where you can live your lifestyle in a very peaceful way, especially in this time when we are more exposed to information from all over the world. We are exposed to so many different ways of living. And I realized that I have to as well expose myself to different cultures for me to understand, because don't get me wrong, I questioned my choices in the beginning. Was I doing the right thing? Everybody around me was saying, Ghanim, you're doing the wrong thing. This is against your culture. This is against your beliefs. This is against... And I said, is it? And I had to do a lot of research. Wow. So I had to go and dig deeper and see, how did we eat here in the region 100 years ago, and how something that is very spiritual at a certain level ended up becoming a habit that is, let's say, hurting a lot of animals, and lots of creatures are suffering because of it. And can we change that? Can we find alternatives? Can we find different ways to express our belief, but in a more compassionate way? And again, it is my choice. And I always say to people, they feel like when I say this, it's like I'm imposing something. And I always say this, like, I'm taking responsibility of my own kind of choices.
Yeah, you're not telling them that
I'm not telling, I'm saying my opinion.
But immediately people do become defensive.
I know. And I do understand that. And again, we live in a world where everybody is so sensitive when it comes to their own idea, thing and belief. And that is, connected to our cultures and how we were raised and how our parents kind of, let's say, have taught us to think. And I think now in this world, we are becoming more independent, and people are becoming more aware that they can make their own choices. And if you can find a valid reason to defend a philosophy that makes sense to you, why not?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's easy. I've met a lot of people in Doha that don't see this as an easy topic to discuss, and they feel a bit more, cautious to do that. I always say I am happy to have the conversation, because I think it's the start of something.
Absolutely.
Maybe we're not going to agree, and I think most people wouldn't agree even listening to this.
And I think that's the main thing, though, Ghanim, that that's okay to disagree, right? It's interesting, because I feel that we may have done things differently in the past, right? For whatever reasons, and maybe out of a need rather than a desire. But now in a modern context, in modern society, when we have the information and we know that we don't need to be hurting animals, and we can still have our relationship, if you happen to be religious, and still have that relationship with God. So when I recently shared a reel of a friend of mine who is Pakistani, Muslim, and vegetarian. Okay, and I put this reel out, and it went viral, and there were so many comments on this saying that he's not a Muslim, he's feminine because he doesn't eat meat. Allah made animals for us to eat and use, and how can he not kill animals at during Eid?
Yeah.
So I just saw that there was a huge disconnect with what I would imagine a just God would want versus what people think how things need to be.
And again, I don't want to make it a conversation about veganism specifically when it comes to the spirituality, because there's a lot of conflicting, I would say, habits that people kind of do and or our actions that are conflicting to their spiritual beliefs. So it's a conversation that we are having across different areas. But specifically, as we're speaking about veganism here, I do think that, there is a stereotype that people who are going vegan are softer, and the people who are going vegan are, tend to be less, manly or spiritual or connected. And again, I don't think I should be here as well defending what other people are thinking. They can think whatever they want to think. And I think the most important thing is that us internally, we are doing it for the right reasons. I think people do things for different reasons around the world. I mean, people make choices on a daily basis, and what a color of their car would be, or where they're gonna travel, or what bag are they gonna wearing, or what kind of clothes they're gonna put on. I think we can, you can always debate the choices of people. And you're never gonna win. That's why I always say to people, it's not about me defending that. It's just, I think people can say whatever they think their culture kind of taught them to say, or their beliefs, or their their life. I mean, kind of whatever they learned in their journey, and I respect that. I respect people who are can say their opinion, and if that opinion doesn't resonate with me, then I move on.
I just think
if I can,
it's so ludicrous, this comment in particular around a man is not masculine if he doesn't eat meat.
Well, I think there is a huge debate on what is the definition of masculinity and femininity. And I think there is a lot of people who don't know the definition of that. And I think they just think masculinity is, I don't know, having a beard and a mustache. And femininity is like wearing makeup or something. And I think this is the illusion and the and I guess the crazy world we live in, where it's all mixed up right now, so you don't know what is the definition of that. But again, I do believe that being true to yourself, and it's a world where lots of different opinions are allowed. And I traveled the world. I've traveled to 33 countries. I've met different people from different backgrounds that have allowed me to accept difference, and that have given me the privilege to accept people who are different than me. And I've realized that I'm not going to find people that are always matching what I would think people should think of.
Yeah.
And with that, I became very much in peace with being okay to be different myself, but also to allow other people to be different. As I said, it's not easy in a world where it's connected like today.
Yeah.
Where you get to hear people, let's say, in different part of the world saying something about something that's very normal that you're doing here. But I think we need to, learn to adapt, that we live in a world where what do you guys think in India of Doha could be completely different than the other way around,
Yeah.
And you said earlier, this is too hot for you, to be here in the city. For us, this is like a beautiful day,
Yeah, absolutely.
and this is the beauty of us, humans being in this world. But I think we always need to encourage ourselves to be better versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
And always trying to explain our motives and our reasoning of our choices, and that's, I think, veganism is something that made me more compassionate, made me more, if compassionate means more feminine to people, so let it be, but for me, that's what I always say to people: compassion and being kind and being true to what I think is good for me.
Yeah.
That is the definition of masculinity,
That's what I don't understand, is when we think of words like compassion, immediately people will align that with being feminine.
Yeah.
But why is that? Because to me, what makes a strong man is someone that chooses to be compassionate when they can. And that to me is what makes a man, because they're not just... to me, it's very unmanly if you're paying money to someone to slit the throat of some innocent little defenseless animal versus choosing to make a meal, scramble tofu, and still get the same level of protein and put a little extra effort in to not hurt an animal.
I've always kind of, when I'm having debates with people about kind of the topic of killing the animals, I always say to people, if you're able to do it yourself, then come talk to me. Let's have this debate. But 90% of the people are not even able to hold a knife and do it themselves. And that just shows you that our energy doesn't match. Like, our energy doesn't always allow us to actually kill the animals. And most people, if they actually have the option to do it themselves, they wouldn't do it.
They would never do it. They can't even watch it. They can't even watch a video of like some cruel dairy, this, that.
Exactly. So I think that by itself is a testimony that most people are meant to be vegan by nature. Yeah. But because we live in a world where we are completely, disattached from the farms and how things are, how the animals are being treated and how our food is being processed, we became so numb to a process, and we became so unaware of the consequences. And I've talked to so many people that lives in different cities around the world that are still living in a farm or living beside the norm. I would say the natural world where people are living still in the mountains, and they've always been saying to me that it's really a hard decision to kill an animal, even though they're not vegan. They would say it's a hard decision because the animal had, they raise the animal, it's part of the family, it becomes like a friend. And even when they do decide to kill the animal, it's kind of like a whole event because it's not a normal thing.
Yeah.
We made it so normal nowadays that it's just like you go to the grocery store and you don't know that actually, it's a process that
I think you're just detached.
Takes a lot of emotions.
Yes, exactly. And I think you're right that if people had to kill the animal themselves, most people would not most people would probably become vegetarian.
100%.
100%.
One more story I wanted to say is like when I did my research about the region, and I'm trying to get answers from my own history, I would say, because I wanted to get something that I can debate people with as well. I've found that, you know, let's say 300 years ago or 400 years ago in our region, people used to trade with animals. So animals were like very valuable assets. So people, when they want to sell something, they would sell their camels or, you know, sheeps. And so this was like a stock market, or just like your assets, like your houses. And so at that time, they didn't eat animals as much because it was so valuable that you wouldn't just kill an animal because you just are hungry. So people used to eat lots of starchy vegetables, lots of rice and grains and beans. And that shows you that, you know, when let's say the price of an animal have kind of shrank to be nothing today. I mean, you can go get a burger with, I don't know, $1.
Yeah.
That just shows you like how it became so unvaluable, that's why we don't care anymore. And when people say we have always been eating animals for years and years and years, yes, you've been eating animals, but the way you used to look at the animal changed completely. You used to look at it as something that you would not kill until you've, I don't know, traded for 3, 4, 5 times. You've given it to and I'm not saying that okay or not. That's just like when you just start to understand where this idea of just eating animals came from. It didn't start of just like, okay, let's just kill the animal because we have been, you know, we have many more. I mean, people couldn't afford having the animals. It's so expensive. So I think this debate can sometimes change people's mentality and minds and make them more aware that, yeah, today I don't value, today we value, organic vegetables more. I mean, can you buy organic vegetables? That's so expensive.
So expensive.
You know? So
it's cheaper to like have a $1 burger from McDonald's than have a healthy vegetables.
Yeah.
Which leads me on to my next point. So a lot of comments I get are around veganism being expensive and unattainable, and veganism is only for the elite. Now, firstly, I think that's a ridiculous comment because in India, dal, roti, sabzi, everything is vegan anyway. So that's a really stupid comment. But what is your take on that? Do you think it's expensive to be vegan?
Well, see, again, it's the same thing. If you come to our culture, I mean, let's say hummus and tabbouleh and all of these are naturally vegan. Yeah. So, that's the cheapest food. As you said as well, adas, which is like lentils and dals and rice and potatoes. And all of these things are basic Arabic kind of, let's say, meze dishes that are very accessible to everyone and very easy to make. I think veganism, when it comes to commercializing it into a restaurant, trying to cater to an audience that, that is very niche, sometimes can become expensive because, let's say, the restaurant, because I'm in the business of restaurants, I understand the cost to operate a business. So that's why businesses at the beginning maybe might inflate the prices and you might find it a little bit, crazy to go and, I don't know, eat a smoothie for $20, in some places. But I think with time and with people becoming more aware, the prices are shrinking. And I think we are an example of that. When we started Evergreen 8 years ago, our prices were a bit high. Today we're as normal as any other restaurants in Qatar. But I also, always kind of wanted people to understand that the more demand there is, the less the
basic supply and demand. Yeah.
And at the same time, I would like to add that, and when it comes to food, we have been brainwashed that, with all the $1 offers and the $2 burger and the $1 burger, that we now see normal food prices as too much, when it's actually, this is the normal price, but the price that we're paying for a burger for $1, that's the not normal one. We shouldn't accept that. Yes, food should be affordable and accessible, but also shouldn't be that cheap. Because if I give you a farm and I say to you, hey, Amy, can you go and grow me some carrots and cucumbers and lettuce and tomatoes, and you're the only one doing it, I'm sure you're going to charge me a hell of a money, because if you're going to wait for months to get the crops
Yeah.
and you're going to do it yourself,
For us, yeah.
and once you do it yourself, you're going to be like, wow, this is not easy
Yeah.
to grow your own vegetables and to actually make. So I think our value for money, for the prices of fruits and vegetables or real food have changed with time. And we need to start valuing, I don't know, organic rice and organic tomatoes. And I think with time, you'll start seeing that organic tomatoes the prices will be normalized.
Yeah.
But until we don't normalize the $1 burger and the things that are on offers and the cereals that are, cheap, and I think because of that commercial world, we cannot see normal food as normal anymore.
But I think also we can look at, I think we need to look at health a little holistically.
Yeah.
It's like, because when we start getting into our 50s and 60s, it's so normal now for everyone to have diabetes, cancer, this, that problem, right? It's normal. Pretty much everyone has it. But that is not normal. And so I think if we start looking at our health holistically, that, we do need to spend a little bit more to eat well, then later in life, we're not going to have these problems.
Yeah.
So you're not spending $1 bajillion on your healthcare, then it kind of all evens out anyway.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of how you look at your health and your body, I guess.
I think you need to simplify as well your diet.
Yeah.
I mean, I started veganism very lavishly, I would say, because I had these amazing experiences in restaurants, and then you have this amazing, I would say, piece of arts that are made by amazing chefs, and I really appreciate the food, and however, from my day-to-day food that I eat every day is very simple food, and I made sure that I consume things as natural as possible and as less processed as possible. And with that kind of lifestyle, I realized that, I can maintain a very affordable diet that is much cheaper than a normal American diet or normal than a Middle Eastern diet.
Absolutely.
And when you become so aware of what you put in your body, even food that is so complicated and food that is so I don't know, like that it's so many ingredients in it, you don't appeal to it anymore. You don't feel like the cravings anymore to it. For me, I crave very simple food.
So do I.
Very simple food. So yeah, adding to your topic of making food more accessible and affordable, I think this is our job as vegans as well, to keep sending the message that buying a bag of lentils and rice and potatoes is actually the cheapest food you can eat.
Absolutely.
And with nice spices on top, it's the most delicious food.
Yeah.
Again, it's a transition. I'm not saying everyone needs to go and start eating that way.
Yeah.
But when you eat clean, you start appreciating the flavors of these simple foods. And I was telling you just before this about sprouts and how cheap sprouts are, because you can grow them in your kitchen. And at the same time, they're the highest nutrient-dense food on the planet. So, I mean, which one would you value, Start valuing the sprouts, start valuing the...
Absolutely.
In most nutrient-dense food. And I think you will start realizing that actually it's very affordable and accessible way of eating.
Absolutely. And it is. I think there's just so many misconceptions around food where people honestly believe you need to have meat in order to get protein. And that's the only association that seems to exist. And when we talk about getting our protein from lentils or from other sources, straight away people will be like, oh yeah, but it's too many carbs. And I'm just like, since when is carbs a bad thing? We need carbs for energy. If you're a healthy, active individual, then having carbs is a wonderful thing. And if you have a varied whole foods diet, you're getting all the protein you need from like different sources.
Well, when I started on my vegan diet 10 years ago, I went through different phases. I didn't understand the macros in the beginning, and was eating maybe mostly carbs, and then started incorporating lots of fats at some point, lots of cashews and nuts and seeds, which was, I loved it. But then I realized, again, I wanted to, have a balanced meal. And so I became very aware of, I was against tofu at some point because of all the GMOs. And then I realized, actually, I need to choose organic tofu and organic, soybeans. to avoid all the GMOs. And I've realized, okay, there's a way to eat more tofu. And so now I'm obsessed with tofu.
Yeah.
Everything tofu I have is, on daily basis. And
tofu is like one of the best ingredients in the world.
it's the best. It's the best. I've been eating it like for breakfast, lunch, and dinner these days.
Yeah.
But in different
And
ways.
you don't have breasts? Wow.
Well, see.
The amount of people that message me saying, oh, if I have tofu as a man, then there's just such
It's absolutely not. And I've built muscles on it. I'm training every day. I lift weights, and I've managed to actually gain almost 8 kg of pure muscles.
Wow.
On vegan diet. But I live a very, structured kind of, let's say, lifestyle where I'm able to, make sure that I have meal prepped for me, and I make sure that I have the right macros. But it took time. I mean, I'm on this journey for 10 years, so it's not going to be overnight.
Yeah, it's figuring it out.
But yeah, I'm so pro having vegan protein shakes as well. I've changed everybody around me to consume proper, clean vegan protein shakes.
One of the easiest changes.
Easiest way.
Yeah.
People love it. Immediately you feel the digestion's kind of benefit. And my trainer now is on a vegan, even though he's not vegan, but he's on a vegan protein shakes. And my sisters and my friends and my...
Amazing.
And I think these changes makes kind of a wider impact later on.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can definitely build muscles on a vegan diet, and you still can be fit but yeah, you have to eat the right combination of food. And lentils and beans, and which are very important, but tofu and tempeh. I love tempeh.
I don't.
You don't?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't.
Well, maybe it's not cooked well.
Maybe. I think I've not given it a chance.
Well, I've tried it in Bali. That's what I fell in love with. Tempeh.
The food in Bali. It's so good.
It's the best.
I just interviewed an 80-year-old vegan bodybuilder in India, and it's just incredible. Like, he's so fit, he's fitter than every 20-year-old you'll see at the gym. Does 500 squats and push-ups a day, incredible fitness at that age. I'm like, that to me is a real testament to what good food and positive thinking and workout and living your life in a really positive, holistic way can have.
I think you've said it very, very nicely. It's the holistic approach to anything.
Yeah.
I think having a great mental health, great food, kind of, let's say, a combination of food that is good for you, having a lifestyle that, good amount of sleep, drinking water, exposing to the sun, which a lot of people don't do these days. This is how you can achieve, a better goal and a better outcome. And I, for me, a lot of people kind of always pick one options, and they think, let's say, going vegan by itself is the solution. I've seen a lot of people failing as well, going vegan and not seeing the benefits.
Yeah.
And it's just because it's about everything else as well. You can't have, I don't know, you don't sleep, you sleep for a few hours and you don't recover well and you don't treat your body well, and then you expect just by eating fruits and vegetables you're going to have all the benefits. So I believe in the holistic approach, and I believe that if you care so much about what you put in your body, I think you should care a lot about what you put in your brain, and
absolutely
what you see, what do you touch, what do you consume from digitally or even physically.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, before we wrap up, I know we have to wrap up now. So before you go, what is it that you look for when you're looking to invest in a vegan business?
I've never started my journey with my plant-based restaurants to actually be a businessman, but I naturally became someone who owns these businesses because I realized at some point that I have to create options and alternative for myself. And then those options that were catered to me actually started catering to a wider audience. And then I've seen the impact that my business has had on people. Then I've realized, wow, so much I can do with, having a platform that speaks about compassion and speaks about natural approach to products. And I've realized that the impact that businesses can have is huge. And I started advocating for, change in business and change in mentality with entrepreneurs. And And I've realized that I have a bigger footprint in Doha by influencing, people around me to change small things in their business and the way they run their businesses, by choosing sustainable product, by choosing more ethical, sourcing of their procurement products. And I realized that I wanted to only ever be in an environment that constantly is focusing on the goals that I'm trying to achieve for myself. And for me, creating this kind of, let's say, ecosystem of businesses, which is called Embat, which means to grow in Arabic, it was the place for not only my businesses to thrive, but also other businesses to flourish, and for the plant-based kind of ecosystem to start becoming more moist for these small kind of entrepreneurs that wants to come in and make changes. And
so when you say other businesses to flourish, so are you saying that you guys partner with other businesses? Okay.
So I think our existence have allowed other businesses to not only become businesses, but also become profitable and encourage so many other vendors to start changing their habits. Because we've had our own standards, in our businesses. So if you can't work with us if you don't follow certain, let's say, sustainability standards or ethical standards, and that have changed the mentality of our suppliers. And then our suppliers became so aware that they now became so obsessed on supplying vegan products and vegetables and fruits and nuts and seeds, and that just shows you that by us being in the market, it had a ripple effect. And but yeah, for us, or for me specifically, I just want to be involved in something that will always have a positive impact on this planet and a positive impact for the people. And I've realized that the power a business can have is mind-blowing, and it can change people's lives. And I've seen it in people's eyes when they come to my restaurants and buy my products, and this feeling that I felt and witnessed, I want that to continue, either with my businesses or with other people's businesses. And that's why we always kind of encourage other businesses. We collaborate, we support, we invest, we acquire certain businesses if they are not doing well, and we're trying to make them do better. I've always consulted as well other vegan restaurants that maybe couldn't survive in the market, and we've kind of tried to help them to continue. So we're trying to keep this environment
it's like an ecosystem.
It's an ecosystem, as I said. It's an ecosystem that needs to keep on giving, and we need to keep on feeding it, good energy and good vibes and good, and bring good people in it. And that's one of my brands, a name called Good People, which is a water company that I started. So yeah, Good People is something that what we want to, I guess, achieve. We all want to be good people.
Of course, we're all trying.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Ghanim. It's been such a pleasure to chat to you. And if people want to learn more about Embat Holdings, they can just go to the website. And
they can just follow our journey on social media, or follow me. And we're always very active and love to hear from people what they think. And if they want to collaborate, we're always open for collaboration. But thank you so much for hosting me. I'm so happy to be here, and I hope this conversation can have an impact on somebody out there.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Positive impact. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.